I just want to place a short video for you on the Greek 2 class, CRST 272. This week we are not learning a great deal of new material, although Chapter 13 introduces us to the near demonstrative adjective. And while we're here, we can mention the far demonstrative adjective. Near would be this and these, and far would be that and those. This is usually something nearer to us, and that is usually something that's further away from us. And so we call it the near and the far demonstrative adjective. I would encourage you to start, if you haven't already, completing your personal notebook. It has been made available to you if you have lost your copy, your blank copy. This is, we're looking at here page 18, and you'll notice that I've included both hutos, haute, tuto, which you are learning this week, these forms in the masculine and feminine and neuter. But I've also included from chapter 16, which we don't get until vocabulary in chapter 16, the far demonstrative adjective ekenos, ekene, ekeno. It is much easier to learn because it is more consistent than hutos, haute, tuto, and perhaps used somewhat more than that and those. But it's important to learn these forms because this demonstrative pronoun will function in some important ways that we do not use in English, that are used in the Greek New Testament. In particular, to point out an individual and to emphasize them in the context in which they appear. For right now, it's just enough if we learn the forms, but if we know the forms, then I'll be able to point out in the Greek New Testament where they are being used in a special way. So be sure and learn these forms, and I would suggest that you complete your personal notebook, that you print out the pages. I'm sorry that I can't provide them because we are learning virtually, but hopefully you will be able to print out page 18 and fill it out, and the process of completing these forms and getting them right will also be a learning tool. When this personal notebook is finished and you've completed all the pages, you should have a tool that will accompany you the rest of your life. I still have a notebook, my personal notebook I began over 50 years ago in Greek. So I can quickly refer to it when it comes to what is the perfect passive and forgotten, those forms, the endings, and I can look them up quickly without having to go to the textbook. In fact, I, of course, have it on my laptop. I would encourage you to complete the pages that you can complete. Sorry, I'm going the wrong direction. I wanted to go this way. Because there are some, like the first person and second person pronoun, which you are going to meet soon if you haven't already. I can't remember the vocabulary list, but you have met the third person pronoun in chapter 10. So you can complete this one, autos, and be sure and notice the difference between autos and hutos with the rough breathing. The demonstrative pronoun as opposed to the third person personal pronoun, he, she, and it, autos, aute, auto. But not only this, you can complete, for example, the first and second declension of nouns and adjectives. Here are the adjectives. Here are noun declensions. We have not learned the third declension, but that will be our next project, actually. So page 13, you will be able to fill out soon. Page 12, you should be able to complete already. First declension nouns, you know those. You know the alpha pure ones. You know in the nominative, accusative, genitive, and dative forms, the singular and plural. But also, now you have a lot of verb forms, and I would encourage you that now that you have learned those in the present and the aorist tense, that you go ahead and fill those out. Page 5, you should have already begun. With page 4, to have the present tense, luo, lues, lue. That was from Greek 1. And then we had contract verbs in Greek 1, and we had what we are still calling deponent verbs, present, middle, or passive, that are translated active, I go or come, erchomai, omai, e, etai. So we had a second set of endings. Then we had those endings with contract verbs like fabeomai, becomes fabumai, I fear. In chapter 8, we were introduced to alpha omega verbs, and the middle and passive forms of those are also, we also learned. And now we have also learned the strong aorist, and here I've used apon, he said, as an example, and the weak aorist forms, and some variations with, for example, a verb that ends blepo, that ends, the stem ends in p, it becomes psi, eblepsa, in the weak aorist, I saw. What about epsilon omega verbs? What do they look like when they're put into the weak aorist? And the epsilon lengthens to eta, and the sigma is added, and the endings a, as, n. We have liquid verbs who do not take a sigma in the aorist tense, but the stem changes. In chapter 15, we will learn infinitives. We haven't learned those infinitives yet. So page 7, you don't need to fill out. But pages 4, 5, and 6, you should now be able to complete. And when you are finished completing these forms, it will be a good review. And you can start completing your personal notebook that hopefully can be an aid for you throughout your time of learning Greek. So let me encourage you this week. We don't have any time in class. We have only this short video segment. Let me encourage you to use this time to learn chapter 13 and the demonstrative pronoun, this and these, very thoroughly. Review vocabulary and grammar from chapter 12. The aorist tenses, the strong aorist and the weak aorist. Review those forms because it's very important that our foundation is good so that we can build upon that foundation in not only in Greek 2, but also in the classes that continue, Greek 3 and 4, which will introduce us to some really important things in understanding the New Testament. So I wish you all God's blessings as you do your homework for this week. The homework for week 4 and week 5 can be given. I encourage you to give it, to upload it to Moodle as soon as possible, especially week 4. We will not count it late, however, if we receive it by this coming Saturday, 17th of April. But I encourage you to complete week 4, which was last week, as soon as possible. And then on Saturday, you should have completed week 5 homework as well. God bless you, and have a very good week.